everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Clueless Quilter. I'm Kim Sandberg, and with me today I have Ashlee Rudert back.
Hi, everyone.
Hey. Ashlee and I have been having a lot of fun quilting together, and we wanted to share kind of a little update on where Ashlee is in her quilting journey. So Ashlee, what have you been up to with quilting lately?
Well, this is super exciting.
Mhm.
This is my second time on a Clueless Quilter episode.
Yep.
And I came in on the ground floor as a beginner, but now it's like I'm in the department store and the elevator operator is like, advanced topics, level 3.
That's right. So Ashlee has been madly quilting. You're on quilt number what now?
Oh gosh, I think this one we're going to talk about today would be 15, and I'm working on 16 and 17 at home. They're like kind of a little UFO stage, which I never thought I would get to, is having unfinished quilts I'm in the middle of. That is like a sure sign you're a quilter.
Exactly. When you have that pile. Although, you could just call them WIPs, work in progress, because you are working on them right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Well, let's, you've definitely, hit some milestones. Let's talk specifically about the quilt that's hanging behind us. So we've got a super awesome quilt here. So tell us about this quilt, Ashlee, because this is a fun quilt.
It's a lot of fun because I made it with my friends. So we host together the Friday Fun Day Quilting Hour here at Handi Quilter. Yeah. And it's a social hour where we get together and we work on projects. Mm-hmm. And we chose over the last year to work on this Moda building block, modern block pattern. Yep. And oh my gosh, there's so many types of piecing in this quilt. Yeah. And, as a group, we all worked on it and learned some things and built some skills. Mm-hmm. And I really felt a big difference. We're going to do some exciting things on this quilt today. Yeah. When I look at the flying geese on this one, oh my gosh, they are on point. And doing all of them in this quilt, oh my gosh, that really helped. So you never really know, all that practice. You don't always feel like you're making progress at the time. But then when you move on to that next project, it's like, wow, I'm getting good.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. Well, and sampler quilts like this are always such great skill builders. Didn't you feel like this was a real skill builder for you?
Oh, yeah.
Because it just, especially where each block's different, you have to cut each block out separately, do all these things. It really challenges you, pushes you, makes you try new things, right?
Yeah, and especially just playing with scale. There's so many different sizes of blocks here, and it really made me think differently about how everything should come together in my quilt. Mm-hmm. Kind of unlocked something in my brain with the decisions I'm going to be making with this quilt.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm super proud of it. It has a fun name.
Yeah, I love the name of this. So what are you calling this beautiful quilt, Ashlee?
Hi, Mom. This one goes out to you. This is called Things My Mother Told Me Not to Wear.
And why?
Because it has all of the animal prints.
Yes.
It's got like probably 7. It has gold lame.
Yes.
Red. And there's a pattern down here that has a lace print on it. So
fantastic.
Some sleazy red lace. That's always good.
This block right here is like the perfect.
Emblematic.
You've got the gold lame, you've got the animal prints, you've got the red. Yeah. The print is actually cut down here, but it is kind of a busy print.
Yeah, yeah, so. And then all the busy prints. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, as I was assembling it, I was thinking, wow, these are all the things that
Mom always said
said that wouldn't be flattering, but it came together quite nicely.
It is. It's a gorgeous quilt, and I think this is such a great example of your eye for color. And just putting everything together. I remember when you made the first block, which I believe was this one right here, right? Mm-hmm. You were like, what have I done?
I'm like, it's more than 2 colors.
And I kept telling her, I'm like, just keep going. It's going to be awesome, I promise. Yeah. So yeah, this one definitely turned out well. And we actually have all of these quilts on display right now in the Handi Quilter gallery. We have 5 quilts that people from the Friday Fun Day group finished. And so if you do happen to be in the neighborhood, these will be hanging probably through January. You should stop by and see all the different ways we made the same quilt, just with lots of different fabric choices. So it was really fun.
It's really fun to see how people chose to quilt, how they chose to put their colors together, all that good stuff. And then I got to this palette cleanser in black and
Yes.
white that we're quilting on today.
I love
It's exciting.
this. So we've actually got like a picture of the whole quilt right here that we can show you, and we can set this one right here so everybody can see this. So this is so tell us where you got this quilt from.
Well, it's from Moda, Ali K Illustrations collection, and it is a combination of the layer cake set in that collection and the panels. We'll see a little later when we move on that I did something a little different to personalize
in one spot.
I didn't like that BU panel, and it's my quilt. I'm the boss of my quilt, so I nominated a different actress to play the part of that panel. And it's exciting.
I know.
So yeah, this is a new quilt pattern. You can buy this. It's available online, or at your local retailer, I'm sure. So it's like the first one we showed that people can get now. Because in the first Clueless Quilter episode I was in, it was a little tricky because everything we showed is like, it's something that's not available anymore.
Yeah.
But this has been fun.
Yeah,
part of with this photocopy I made, that's how I've been thinking of my quilting ideas. I've been doodling on sheets of that and coming up with different concepts.
Yeah. And boy, have we come up with some good ideas, right? So when Ashlee and I were discussing doing another episode, I said, well, Ashlee, why don't we focus on quilting skills and maybe push you to try a few new things that you haven't done before? So Ashlee's doing this live.
No sweat.
No sweat.
I wore this nice, warm, cozy sweater today. I don't know why.
But we're gonna walk through a couple of actually more than a couple of quilting techniques that Ashlee has never tried, and so she is a little clueless still today in aspects in these aspects, and we're gonna have some fun here, just quilting. And this quilt pattern is such a great one because you have nice big blocks, not a ton of piecing, so you have lots of room to just do some fun design work. So what's the first thing we're working on?
Rulers. And oh my gosh, this is the one that makes me a little nervous because
rulers.
The other things we're going to do, I've played with elements of it, but I have never done like ruler to fabric moving the machine. This is going to be intense.
So what block are we starting in then?
Actually, you know what? We'll need to advance a little bit.
Do we need to advance already? Okay, well, if you want to grab the stuff down here, I'll undo the side clamps here. You can undo the side clamps from that side. You guys, this is real life quilting.
Live TV. And we're going to go down to this row of flying geese.
That's right. Here. The flying geese. Okay. Awesome. So if we get that right there.
I remember when I first started piecing, flying geese.
That
was like another one of those, like all the HSTs and acronyms we talked about in my last episode. Like this was really mind blowing. I was like, there's no geese, there's no birds.
There's nothing. So this is where we're going to actually do the piecing. And you know what? We need a couple of things if we're going to be doing rulers. Number one, you always need a ruler base. So we've got the ruler base here. Do you know how to pop on the ruler base?
I do.
Okay.
I've actually done that.
I'm going to let Ashlee do that. And then I'm going to grab a ruler here. Let's see. Let's use... You want a straight ruler for this one, right, Ashlee?
Yeah, we're going to play with a straight ruler. Probably the best place for us to start.
Here we go. That's the perfect one right there. Okay.
So we're going to use this, and maybe I'm wrong.
Let me see here. Yeah, not quite all the way on.
I'm doing it blindly. That's like one of those things.
Luckily, I'm a professional.
This is the teaching moment for Kim.
There we go.
How to do it. All right.
So we pop that right on there. Okay. And so now we've got our ruler base. So we've got a nice firm foundation here. We're going to make sure that we can quilt all the way that we want to because you wanted to do some quilting here in these flying geese. And then we are going to do, let's make sure we've got the camera over here. You guys can see we've got our little GoPro here. I've just got a straight edge ruler. You guys can see this here. I've just got a straight edge ruler. This is it's just the HQ straight edge. Great straight ruler. So tell me what kind of a design you're wanting to quilt here. Are we just going to do a stitch in the ditch? Do we want to do a step in? Do you want to add a pattern? You want me to throw you for a loop? What do you want?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, why don't we just start with I like the idea of doing a step in.
Okay.
That's a term I just learned.
A step in.
What does that mean, Kim?
So what I'm going to do is line up the edge of my foot there. You guys can see that with the edge of the seam there. And then I'm going to put my ruler, so it'll be right there. The first thing I need to do, so I'm going to demo this first for you.
Okay.
And then you get to try it. Okay. So we'll do that. I've brought my bobbin thread up. And then we're going to do a quick little tie off so everything's good. And what I'm going to do is just gently, do you see here how I'm using my hand to put pressure on the ruler?
Okay.
I'm holding it in place. And we're just going to stitch right up to there until I get to the end here. Now there's one setting I want to change. If you notice my needle's still up there. I'm actually going to change it so that when I stop stitching, my needle's down.
Oh, that's
that
good.
way I don't get any kind of a wobble when I go ahead and do it. Now, we're just going to move right up to that edge. It's your turn. Now, Ashlee is a lefty.
Oh,
so
this is where it gets really exciting. You can go backwards.
Yep. So you put your hand there and you're just going to drive and stitch right along that edge. Make sure you've got plenty of pressure there. Keep your fingers away from the edge. Yeah. And when you're ready to start stitching, just turn on the machine and start stitching. And just go down.
Oh my gosh.
Look at you, Ashlee, using rulers. And then hit stop. Okay. And then readjust your rulers. You never want to move your ruler while the machine's going.
I'm really ready.
And this one, yep, that's exactly right. Because you're always going to stitch a 1/4 inch away. So you're lined up right there. Okay. Go ahead and stitch
that's pretty intuitive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And
look at you.
Variegated thread I chose looks
cool.
So good.
Oh my gosh, it does.
Okay.
Hit stop there.
What if I feel like there's a little gap? Do I want to come back here?
You can. You sure can. If you want to a little bit. Yeah, I might have started a little bit in. You can absolutely. Ashlee, you're the boss of your quilts.
It's my quilt.
Actually, do it the way you want to.
I mean, I think I need just a couple more stitches and then I need to come this way.
Okay.
I think. We'll see. And
so so let's talk about your stitch path now. So where do you want to stitch down? Do you want to come over here and travel up the seam and then come and do the next one?
Yeah, I've got to think about these things.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Got to think about your stitch path.
I was just like getting excited in the moment.
So what you'll want to do, if we want to do that, I'll just do a little demo here for you. We're just going to go over to this edge, and then I'm just putting the needle right in that little edge there. And then we'll just stitch right there in the ditch and come up to the next corner. And then, you know what? I'm going to let you go from here. You can come in here. Why don't you do the inside of one more of those cute little geese. So think about where you're going to stitch.
So with this, I'm always going to have a little line where it goes over.
Yep, there'll be a little line. Now, there's a really great way to fix that if you don't want that little line to show when you get done. You grab a black Sharpie and you just write over the top of the thread. This is actually an awesome tip from Christina. She's actually here in the studio laughing at us right now. Such a great tip. So why don't you go ahead and give that a try?
All right. So if I want to make sure I get over here, do you just eyeball that?
Yeah, I just kind of eyeball it.
Okay.
Yep, like right there is good. Yep. Whew, then go ahead and line your ruler up. And remember, you want this to be on the edge there.
Okay. This is the clueless part.
Yeah. Now you can have it on that side.
My leftiness gets really complicated.
You can do it on this side. It doesn't matter which side you put it on. You can stitch from either side.
That's good because I was about to have a right hand, left hand meltdown just now.
I know. I have to keep thinking about it. I am kind of sort of ambidextrous. It's not as hard for me to do things with my left hand as maybe some would think.
Oh, mine got a little wonky.
That's okay.
But you know what? It'll be okay because when I step back from my quilt like 3 feet, I won't notice it, right?
Riding by on a horse.
Oh my gosh, you make it look so easy. Oh, I just went off the rails.
It's okay. Just remember to snug the edge of the ruler up next to the foot, and then just kind of keep pressure so it's pushing up against the edge of that ruler.
You know, I wasn't keeping my pressure steady. I could feel that after the fact. There's a few things to keep in mind as we're doing this.
There is. There definitely is.
Okay.
And rulers, you always want to slow down a little bit. Just kind of enjoy the process because it takes a little bit longer, but you're getting the precision, so it makes it worth it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So how do you feel about rulers now? Why don't you step over here a little bit so
I
everybody
feel
can see you?
like I don't want to hide behind the machine.
How do you feel about rulers now?
You know, not as terrified as I thought I would.
Good.
I think, you know, I need to do some practicing.
Yeah.
Because I have your really beautiful, precise ruler. You help me with ruler work there. And then I have mine, which is more like abstract expressionism, but that's okay.
It looks hand guided,
it's all in
right?
art form.
It's all in art form. Okay. So you're thinking of doing more of that along these flying geese here. So look, you have plenty of space to do some practice in.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about the next technique you want to try? Let's see what we were going to have here.
We did something actually really exciting yesterday to get ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
So part of what I wanted to do with this pattern,
mm-hmm.
there are all of these flower motifs mm-hmm. that are repeated in this layer cake.
Yes.
So I thought, wow, that gives
gorgeous.
us a lot of really cool stuff to play with, especially like when we look at this
the picture.
There's all of these sections, you know, to quilt in,
mm-hmm.
and there's things I want to do to fill.
Yeah.
So we took the flower motif and we're
mm-hmm.
going to quilt it here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about record in Pro
mm-hmm.
Stitcher, which is part of what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And later when I finally complete this, I'll probably play with the size and scale and fill some areas here,
mm-hmm.
do some more ruler work here. But I really want to play around in this area here and here with the flower
here and down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll
probably have to either back up or
well, you know what? Let me just clip your threads real quick.
Thanks, friend.
And then you're welcome. That's what I'm here for. Then we can advance this a little bit, and we'll move this next set of blocks up so they're in the right spot for us to do some quilting in them. Because I want to show everybody what we did yesterday. We did a little planning. Ashlee actually was the one that came up with this idea. She's like, could I take one of these flower motifs, as she was just saying, and then record the design and create my own design using Pro Stitcher? I was like, absolutely.
I know it's advanced topics.
It is advanced topics. So let's show everybody the flower that we recorded. So we took this scrap of fabric that she had right here, and then we took this flower right here, and we use the record function in Pro Stitcher. So let's come up here, and I'm just going to go to the Pro Stitcher screen. We're going to re-engage our gears because we want to stitch one of these somewhere. And let's show everybody the function of how you did this. We're not going to, we already have the design recorded, but I want to show everybody. So on the Pro Stitcher screen here, if we choose the record function on the ribbon right there, we actually have the record right here. Oops, and I need to disengage my gears so you can drag. Do you remember that yesterday when you started doing it?
All the same things.
Yep. And then what Ashlee did was we went like this, and we recorded the movement of the machine. And I'll just do that much, and then I can show everybody. And so she just used that movement of the machine to record the outline of these shapes. Isn't that cool?
Yep. It was really fun to play with because
mm-hmm.
I was thinking about, okay, what's the stitch path going to look like? How detailed do I want this to be? We were able to create this design a little bit simpler than the way it is on the print, but it keeps the authentic shape.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, it was so much fun to do. And I can put this in a repeat. I can size it differently.
Absolutely.
We're going to do a couple different versions.
We're gonna, exactly. And so if you look on the Pro Stitcher screen now, this is the flower that Ashlee did. She quilted this out. She moved the machine around it, and then we actually took it into Pro Stitcher Designer, and we cleaned up just a couple little blips. There was a couple of places where some straight lines showed up, a few things like that. And then this is the finished product of what we ended up with here. So Ashlee, let's set up an area and let's stitch this out. Is this block a good one to stitch in?
Let's start with this one. And I want to make it big. I want to fill
the block. Okay. So let's set up an area. You know how to do that, right?
I think so. I go to the area here.
Yeah, area tab.
Oh, area tab.
That's totally.
I always go to the wrong
tab,
one.
ribbon, sidebar.
Tab, ribbon, sidebar.
And then I want you to touch multi-point there on the screen.
All right.
And we're going to, let's make sure we got a multi-point. We're going to set up this block, and you can go ahead and touch multi-point again. Yep. You can use that button on the handle.
I like quilting when you hold my hand, and I don't think that everybody watching this has that same luxury. So I just want to note that this is really special.
Now we're going to take this flower and get it in the box. So select the Modify tab. And let's use, actually, if you want to, she's just going to grab with her finger, and she's just going to drag that flower over and put it in the box. Isn't that cool? And then tap the refresh button so we can see everything a little bigger. Okay, so that looks pretty good, but do you want to make it a little bigger so it fills the box more?
Yeah. Okay. On this one, I think on some I'll have it smaller and do some free motion fills around it, but this one, let's just make it.
Let's make it nice and big. Okay, so I want you to select on the ribbon right now, the one that says Align. Do you see that on there? And what we're going to do is touch center over in the sidebar. And this is going to hold the design in the center as we resize it. Okay. So now select resize on the ribbon. And let's touch this lock button so that we don't just make it longer or wider. Right. And you'll just start tapping the plus here to make the design bigger until it gets to where you want it to stitch to. How close do you want it to be to those seam lines?
I want it close.
There we go.
That looks great.
That looks awesome. Okay, so I want you to baseline what you've done, and then we're going to select the Pro Stitcher tab, and you're going to go ahead and we'll select the quilt button. Quilt.
Do people forget to baseline a lot?
Yeah.
Or is it just
but that's
me?
Okay. No. I think it kind of just depends on the process you're used to using with Pro Stitcher.
Right.
So
a few steps to remember, but it's really pretty easy.
It is. It is. Then I want you to grab and hold on to your thread, and then you're going to touch the run button, and we're going to make sure everything's all good. Make sure your needle's up, and you're going to go ahead and choose proceed. And I'm going to slow down your speed here just a little bit.
Okay.
We don't want it to take off too fast. Okay, now touch resume. And we're going to go ahead and stitch this out.
This is so exciting.
Amazing.
We're going to see it for the first time.
Look at this stitching out. Now, this design you're planning on using in a lot of different places throughout the quilt. So this is kind of like your theme design, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, and I just want to let everyone know we are live right now. If you want to type in some questions, send us some questions. Ashlee and I were kind of joking. She wanted to try to play Stump the Quilter and see if she could ask me some questions that maybe I wouldn't know the answer to, or vice versa.
Yeah, or if people have questions for us.
Yeah.
One thing I want to do is say hello to Janet Licari. We saw you pop in at the beginning of the broadcast, and you were also commenting in my first Clueless Quilter episode. So thanks for tuning in again.
Yeah. Say Janet. We see Janet all the time on our videos. We
love
appreciate our faithful watchers that are always here.
So do we have any questions yet?
Actually, we do have a question. From Dawn, it says, how do you save a recorded pattern?
That's a good question.
You know what? As soon as we get done with this design, as soon as it gets done stitching out, I'll walk you through the steps of how to save a recorded design. We've got another one that I can actually, okay, so that one says, I can't read that.
Is that pattern going to be in a future update on Pro Stitcher?
Absolutely, in a folder called Ashlee Rudert. No, just joking. Actually, maybe. Who knows?
Maybe our friends at Quiltable will want to do
a
whole collection
of Ashlee's flowers. Okay, so there's one up there, but can I change my size after I baseline? Oh, okay, that's a great question. Can I change my size after I baseline? Absolutely. When you baseline a design, it's just froze those changes that you just made. It freezes those changes. You can continue to make changes. Absolutely. So let me walk you through. I'm going to have Ashlee actually push the buttons on the screen, and I'll show you how to save this. Okay. So let's go to the File tab, select the File tab, and choose Save. Save on the ribbon. There you go. And then choose Selected. So just make sure that design that you recorded is selected. And then Ashlee would just tap in the little box right there. And you can see that she could change the name of it, but it's already got the name you want, right? Yeah. Ashlee's Flower.
But do we need to save?
Do you want to save this as a bigger one?
Yeah, we could call it Ashlee's Flower Big.
Okay. Yeah. So just hit your space bar and then type in big.
Yeah.
I love it. Big. And hit save.
And I think that's a good idea because we had another question about whether or not this could go in a repeat.
Yeah.
An edge to edge.
Yes.
And I do want to do that.
Okay.
We probably, I don't know if we want to do that today or I'll do that later on my own time, but that's sort of my plan for this region over here.
To make it an edge to edge
To
design.
make an edge to edge.
So
So smaller scale.
So here's the answer for that one. Right now, this is actually set up as just pretty much just to be quilted in a block because the start and end points are on what we call a different plane. It means that if we wanted to stitch this out, it's not going to stitch continuously. Now, it would be really easy, and we actually talked about doing it yesterday, but we decided not to. You can go into Designer, and we can actually add a little tail on the front of it and add a little tail on the back of it, and make sure that that start and end point are on the same plane, and then we can absolutely set it up so that they'll snap together, and we can quilt it out as an edge to edge. Yep. So for sure.
That'll be fun. And we'll post some pictures when I finally finish this of all the things we do. But so far, I am really pleased with these results.
No, I'm loving this.
King Tut in this variegated color. And I chose that thread to kind of pick up on this panel that we'll see in a little bit that I replaced because I was talking about how I didn't like the BU panel. So I added a little splash of color.
Yeah.
And that is going to take us to, I think, our next idea.
Thing. So we need to clip our threads. You want to go ahead and do that? And it looks like Christina's got a comment up there for me. I can't quite read it. You guys, I should have brought my glasses in with me.
Can this be done with Pro Stitcher Lite, record, etc., or are the designs in Pro Stitcher Lite fixed?
Okay, that's a great question. The record feature like this in free motion is actually not available in Pro Stitcher Lite. However, there is still a feature in Pro Stitcher Lite that allows you to create your own designs, and it's called Mark. And you can use that with you create a design using straight lines. Now, if you want to create designs like this and then use them in Pro Stitcher Lite, you can just use the software like Designer to create the design first, meaning you could draw it yourself. So, for example, you could take a picture of the fabric. You know, we use this flower here as kind of our idea for it. You could take a picture of this fabric, bring it in as a backdrop, and then trace around it in Designer. And then you could save that design and you could absolutely use it in Pro Stitcher Lite. So
there's always a way.
There's always a way. There's always a way. So, okay, so we need to advance to the next, to our next one down here. So what are we doing next?
Well, we could advance or we could just do it here.
What do you want to, what are we doing here?
Why don't we just stay in this area?
Okay, let's stay in this area.
And we'll work on this white block
with
our couching foot.
Woo! I'm so excited that Ashlee wanted to do some couching. Okay.
Everybody loves couching.
So couching is when we actually stitch yarn down to the top of the fabric. So I'm going to change to my couching foot here. So you guys give me just a minute here and we will make the quick change here. This is one thing that's really nice about the Handi Quilter handy feet. They are easy to change. Okay, and you always want to check before you start stitching that your needle is centered inside your couching foot because it has to actually go through a little disc. So I just did a quick little check on that. Make sure everything's good. Okay, so are we just going to stitch out that same design?
Yeah, we're going to stitch out the same design.
Okay, I love this.
You know, but there's some interesting things for me to learn here.
Yeah.
Because I have done a little bit of couching and I usually just get the yarn like in there and make a little mess to secure it and then move on with life. So I want to learn today how to make a beautiful beginning or end to how I'm using the yarn.
To couching, absolutely. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is reposition this design in the proper place. Because right now, if we hit run, it's just going to stitch in this same block again. And we don't want to stitch over the top of that. We want to do couching over here. Yeah. So Ashlee, on the Pro Stitcher screen, let's go to, I want you just hit that.
Pro Stitcher?
No, actually, we're going to hit modify.
Modify.
No, actually, we're not going to hit modify. Okay. Sorry. We are going to touch area because we need to clear our area and set a new area. So just tap clear there on the ribbon. Okay. Then move the machine so it's in the top left corner of where you want to quilt. Okay. And then touch your multi-point button.
Do I need to do multi-point here?
You can do it on the screen or you can do it with the handlebars. Doesn't matter.
That's
either
one thing I like is, whatever comes naturally to you, there's usually more than one way to handle the stuff.
I know, that's one of my favorite things about Pro Stitcher. There's almost always more than one way to do it. Okay, so now looking there on the screen, we need to get your design into that area.
And this is where I'm just
you can just drag it over and position it if you want to. And it looks like we should be able to just use that design again. Oh, that looks great. Good positioning. Perfect. Okay, so we've got our design positioned correctly now. Now Ashlee wants to learn how to get the yarn in there. Okay, this is always the big question.
Get the yarn in there. That's like
get the yarn in there.
Serious technological phrases.
So I'm going to I'm moving the design over. This is right about where my first stitch is going to be taken anyway. And I'm going to do a needle down, needle up. Okay, so this is the first step. I need to pull up my bobbin thread. So I'm holding on to both my top and bobbin thread here. And then I'm going to come back here, move back to that pretty much that same spot, and do another needle down, needle up so that my thread is secured.
Super secure.
Then what I'm going to do is take my yarn and I'm going to wrap it around, and I'm actually going to make so that it is making a loop around my thread.
Oh, okay.
You guys see that? There's making a little loop around my thread. And I'm actually pulling it a little bit over to the side, but I'm also going to hold this out here. So this can kind of take two hands. Or you can do what I'm doing here, and I kind of hold it with both fingers. Do a needle down, needle up. We now have a loop around this yarn. So what I can do is holding on to the tails of my thread, I'm just going to wiggle it. Look at that.
Wow. It's almost like treating the foot itself like a giant eye of a needle.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool because usually I just wrap it around the foot and sew or stitch until it
pulls through.
And then it's very unsophisticated. This is really lovely.
Yeah.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
When I have done couching before, I've just done it free motion, and I just follow along with my little ball of yarn.
Yep.
And with this being Pro Stitcher, I don't know if there's any special considerations to manage that yarn.
It's kind of the same thing. You just kind of want to have a little bit, we've got a little bit of a puddle here on the quilt of thread. And you just want to kind of keep it loose. Make sure it doesn't get like, we don't go like this and stitch over the top of it or anything. We'll just kind of manage it a little. It's actually, I feel like it's almost easier to couch using the Pro Stitcher just because then I have two hands to manage the yarn with. Yeah. So, okay. So we're ready to go ahead and start stitching. So I want you to grab your tails there. Now this time you've got three tails because you've got your thread and your yarn.
Right.
You're going to select the Pro Stitcher tab. And quilt is already selected on the ribbon, and we're going to touch run and then proceed. And we're going to go ahead and let it stitch, and it's going to do, you had your pull up pause. We don't need to pull up this time. Hit resume. We've already done that. And it's going to go ahead and do a couple of, and then just kind of keep that nice and loose there. I'm actually going to do what I like to call thread chicken and just get in here and clip that a little bit.
It is like thread chicken.
Yeah, you just kind of manage that there. Oh, this is looking so cool, Ashlee.
I know. I chose this yarn. Sometimes finer yarn like this is not the easiest for couching. We do a lot of couching projects here with big chenille yarn where it's really voluminous and does some cool things. But I really fell in love with these colors because they pull out the same shades as the print panel I did. And I just really wanted to do that. And like I said, I'm the boss of my quilt. So this is what we're doing.
Oh, I think it's perfect.
It's really, really fun. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty.
I know. And look at that. Look at how well it's stitching out. It's nice and perfect.
This is.
And you, of course, can absolutely couch without a Pro Stitcher. Oh, our low bobbin estimator is telling us the bobbin is about to run out.
It's doing exactly what we wanted to do.
That's exactly right. So we'll need to be sure and check the bobbin before we do a ton more quilting.
About how much do you think we have left in that bobbin?
I actually just put in a full bobbin without resetting the low bobbin estimator.
Oh, okay.
So I happen to know we've got plenty of bobbin.
Okay,
that's really not going to run out.
Because this is my quilt and I don't want an accident.
Yeah. No, you don't. Oh my gosh, look at how fun that is. And I absolutely love the contrast of your variegated yarn against the black and white background.
Yeah,
that's so fun. Okay, it's going to do its little tie off. And then, oh my gosh, Ashlee, how amazing is this?
This is so fun.
I absolutely love it. Okay, and there's now when you get to the end of your, you wanted to know how to finish it.
Yeah.
I just take and clip nice and close there. And then because we've got a lot of yarn here, it's okay. I'm just going to do a little bit of extra stitching.
Just kind of tack
to kind of tack that down. And then we can just go ahead and clip your thread just like usual. And look at your gorgeous design that you have. Wow. And the best part about this, designed by you, quilted by you.
Yeah. And I love how this panel creates some special designs inside. I made some good choices. I'm super proud of myself.
Yeah,
I hope this is entertaining for other people at home because gosh, I'm having fun.
I think so. Okay, so it looks like we have some more questions. Do you have some more questions for us, Christina? We're just having too much fun quilting here. This is the hard part for us. We're like, oh wait, we have to answer questions. Okay, so
we love to answer questions.
I know we do. So Christina, tell us what that one said. Oh, is there a Black Friday special on Pro Stitcher?
Oh, that's a good question.
Actually, there is not a Black Friday special on Pro Stitcher. However, there is a Cyber Week special on Pro Stitcher.
Because we celebrate savings week long.
So be sure to check out handiquilter.com and then also your local retailer for details about that special. We are having a really great special running actually all next week, the week after Thanksgiving, on all of our machines. So be sure and check that out. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Let's take a look at what the next technique was that you wanted to try. You had one more technique, right?
Well, I was thinking
you were going to take a big leap here and do some fun stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the ruler work is like, it's a little intense. I might have to revisit that. But, I really love free motion.
Mm-hmm, you do.
Just where I am with things in my quilting journey. And I have not played with the microfoot. And, there's so many different elements to this quilt. So the area we wanted to go to is a panel that's kind of at the bottom.
Down a little bit. Okay, so let's do some more advancing. So if you grab your stuff there, I'll grab my stuff here. We'll do some advancing again.
And normally we would be doing a bit more basting. But obviously with the exciting live TV scenario.
Yeah.
We're just going to be a little unofficial.
We're just kind of moving it, which is fine. Ashlee is going to be able to have some fun this afternoon. Come in and do some quilting. So it was this panel down here, right? The black and white one. Okay, that we wanted to do some micro quilting on. Awesome. Okay. So let's bring that down here. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good.
There we go. I think we've got this here. Let's make sure everything's nice and smooth. Always very important. We'll put back on our side clamps. And then we have got to change a foot again.
We have to change a foot. And I think we want to take a moment to talk about thread choices.
Yes,
too,
we do. Absolutely. So why don't you grab some thread, and then I'm just going to change really quick from the couching foot to the micro foot. And this is the foot that people quite often are like, wait, where's the rest of the foot?
Yeah, it looks like it's an unfinished foot.
But you can see here, it gives you like perfect view of that needle because there's nothing obstructing your view out there. So it is fantastic. I absolutely love this foot for micro quilting. You can just see exactly where you're placing every single stitch. Okay, so we've got that set up. Now let's talk about thread for a minute. So we actually had some fun. So talking about ideas for quilting this section, and you want to actually do the quilting here in this white part, right?
Yeah.
Like inside this flower.
Some micro stuff in the leaves and the flowers.
I love it. Kind of add a little bit of texture right in here is where she's thinking of doing it inside this. And it's so fun with big prints like this because this was a quilt. I know it went together pretty quickly for you because
super fast.
It's like 10-inch squares.
Yeah,
it's pretty. You have a couple of stars and
started with something like this when I started piecing.
Don't you feel like we always say that later? We're like, wait, maybe we should have done that. Okay, so let's talk about thread choices. So when you're micro quilting, it's more about creating texture on the quilt. So we're going to look at some really lightweight threads. So one of them, this one right here, is actually a silk thread from Superior Threads. And how delicious, right?
That's my jam. Like a little bit of luxury.
I know.
Beautiful color. Yeah. Beautiful sheen.
Gorgeous. And it's a 100-weight thread. Then we have Micro Quilter, and this is a white. It's also a 100-weight thread, but it's a polyester. and really fine. And then we have this one from Superior Threads also. This is Bottom Line. It's a 60 weight thread. So it's a little bit heavier, but it's really going to just melt into the fabric and be beautiful. So what was your choice?
Well, if we start with one of these flowers, let's go with the little
the silk.
the
Okay.
beautiful silk.
So we need to
and I'll
do
probably
our
change a little as I go on to other shapes in that panel.
fun little trick here. When you change your thread, let's hand this one to you. When you change your thread, just put it on here and tie a knot and then pull it through.
That's a pretty good trick from domestic machine sewing too.
It is, isn't it?
You know, sometimes we like to chat about things that we use, tools and gadgets. And what's like an unusual household item you like to use in your studio?
In my studio? Okay, so I have an unusual item, but it's not a it's just a random thing. So I actually have a porcupine quill.
Oh wow.
That I use as a stiletto while I'm piecing that a friend gave me. It's about this long and it's super sharp on the one end. It's like so sharp that I actually have tape on it because I have totally like poked myself. So we have a comment here that Christina just pointed out. She says, no, great. It's from Michelle. She says, no great question to ask, but wanted to say that it's amazing that you're willing to do this live. Seriously, you guys. I'm going to slip her the 20 later. Like, she was so awesome for doing this.
Luckily, I did okay. The first time we did Clueless Quilter, I didn't swear. I didn't have to use the swear jar. I didn't trip on any of the cords.
Yeah.
I hopefully I don't have lipstick on my teeth right now.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah.
I'm a good friend. I will always tell her. So let's talk about settings really quick for micro quilting. I just looked at the clock. We've been doing this for 40 minutes.
Oh
Is
my
that
gosh, I
right?
feel like we've only been in
my
here
gosh,
for like
I
10
know.
minutes.
Time flies when you're having fun.
That's
Okay,
true.
so the first thing we need to do is disengage our gears. We need to be in true free motion here, okay? And then the choices you want to do for micro quilting, we're going to open back up the Amara screen here. And we're actually going to put it in manual. And I've got it at 550 there. We're actually going to take that speed up maybe to 600, okay?
Why is that?
Just because you want to make sure that the motor is cycling fast enough, the needle cycling fast enough that you don't end up with big stitches.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Now, normally I would adjust my handles, but because we've got a few extra things on here, I'm not going to do that right now. But let me show you. Okay, so what kind of a pattern do you want me to show you how to quilt?
Let's just start with a stipple.
A stipple?
Unless you think there's something more fascinating to do.
You know what? A stipple is absolutely fantastic. And a stipple as a micro is a really great way to get started. Okay, I'm going to do a little tie off there. And I'm also going to change it so that my needle will be down when I start and stop. So I'm just going to just do some little teeny tiny moving that machine around. And you know what? I'm actually going to speed that motor up just a little bit more because some of those stitches are just a little bit long. So when you're doing this, you just want to really fill that in. You see what I'm doing, Ashlee?
Yeah.
Just filling it in. And hopefully this is what you like because you never, ever, let me clip those threads. You never, ever want to have to
unpick
rip
this
out.
Stuff. We have to be committed.
I know.
You know, but that's part of, I think, what I need to do, you know, when I'm planning any of my quilts is just pick something and just run with it. Because the longer you take to second guess or think about, oh, do I want this or that? Yeah. One thing that I like is, you know, working here at Handi Quilter, if any of you have had an opportunity to visit us, we have quilts all over the building.
Do. Everywhere. So, they're everywhere.
You know, whether it's in the gallery space or in people's offices, you know, and I always pop up to the education studio to see what's going on. And, you know, just seeing different versions. I mean, that's how I knew I wanted to do a little micro quilting because it just kept attracting me when I would look at quilts on the wall and say, oh, what did they do there that's interesting?
Yeah.
Like, so here we are.
So you've got a pedal here. You want to try it out? Okay.
Okay.
Last
I really am
challenge.
a little nervous. I'm not even just faking that for comedic value.
Now you can think of doing this like a stipple, or if you want to, you can think of just scribbling. Like think of just scribbling. Yeah. Sometimes that's almost easier to do when you're trying to do a really small meander or a stipple. Okay. So just go like that. There you go. Oh yeah, look at that. That looks so good. I'm totally impressed.
It's interesting to see how mine look versus yours, because even though we're basically doing the same thing, and it's the same motion, there's just a little bit of that like natural tendency that's different between yours and mine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like that, because now you are like a part of my quilt.
A little bit, just a little bit. That'll be my little block that I did. Oh my gosh, Ashlee,
I could just keep going.
Yeah. We'll have to, when we get done filming, you'll have to come back in and we'll pull you out the chair. That's my one other tip for micro quilting. Normally, I would absolutely have Ashlee sitting at a stool, just relaxing your forearms against the poles here and just leaning into it and really enjoying the experience. Micro quilting is awesome. So, all right, well, why don't you finish filling that one? And I think that thread is like spot on perfect. Look at that.
It adds a really nice
so
color
great.
element. You
It
know, that
does.
is one of those things. You mentioned the handlebars. I can feel that right now, that if I were doing this for like 15 minutes, having adjustable handlebars to get that grip a little closer to your torso is probably super nice.
It is super nice. Well, and the other really good tip here, we'll just scoot this down here so that we can see everybody again. The other great tip for micro quilting is when you have those handbars right down, the closer you are to the needle. So if you have your hands right down here, you're actually able to control that movement just a little bit more. So you can see here, I would normally be sitting with my forearms resting. I know,
that would be good.
Resting there, and I just would be quilting just right here next to it.
Yeah,
so,
just like as if you were doing a fine drawing or some embroidery.
Exactly.
You know, that foot is probably also good for other things like applique.
Yes.
Like I have a quilt, one of my WIP UFOs that has some beautiful appliques that I'm working on, and I think that would be a nice foot when I get to that.
I totally
and
agree.
that one is going to need a lot of ruler work. So I'll practice on this, learn a bunch of things, get confident, and then that quilt top that I've been investing all that time in putting those appliques on, I will be ready to roll.
I know. Maybe we'll have to have Ashlee back.
Or at least show our friends when it's done.
We'll definitely have to do a check-in. So, well, okay, Ashlee, did we talk about all the things that you wanted to learn? Did I make you try all the things you wanted to try today?
Yeah, you know, we tried some exciting things. I think, you know, the ruler honestly is probably the most intimidating. And, you know, when you're really trying to get those perfect straight lines, you know, there's obviously really good tools to choose to do that. And, you know, that's part of the intimidation is when you want something to be straight and it's not straight.
Yes.
It's kind of like,
I know.
But, you know, I'm gonna go back and do some more work, because that's the thing. You just have to do the practice.
That's exactly right. Put in the time. So,
and I got my special one-on-one tutorial live.
Always just think you can go back and watch again anytime you want to.
Remember the pressure, line it up here. It's good.
Perfect. Well, Ashlee, thanks for joining me. This was so much fun. And I hope that all of you have opportunity to get some fun quilting done this week. I think it's one of the best things about a long holiday weekend, the opportunity to stay at home quilt. So be sure and have fun quilting, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.